Well, I always suspected it, but I didn't know for sure until today. Tanya Unkovich joins us on the phone. And Tanya, you're a bit of a royalist.
I am indeed. Yes, I am. It began actually about 20 years ago, but more so the last few years. I've just watched everything on YouTube about the royal family and Queen Elizabeth. I really, really enjoy the history of the royal family, but especially her.
I mean, there's something about Queen Elizabeth, isn't there? And I was just talking to you off air about the sense that, she really is quite a remarkable lady. She stayed true and faithful throughout her entire reign.
Queen Elizabeth really did have a quality about her that made her very different, different from other leaders, different from other people of significance, because I really felt that she understood the true meaning of service.
So let's talk about that because, we were talking first thing this morning. In fact, I think both you and I were up quite early about, what we could talk about when it comes to Queen Elizabeth and her passing. And I think both of us agreed that talking about these qualities and how we can all benefit by the things that she put into practice in her life. So let's talk about some of these because I came to the realisation, Tanya, and I talked about this earlier, I reckon she's my ultimate role model.
Yes. Yeah, I couldn't agree more, actually. She's such a unifying figure, isn't she? She's not at all polarizing. She never spoke about political things and all that sort of stuff. It was all about bringing people together. And she really understood the power of unity, the power of forgiveness, the power of bringing people together. And, I mean, what a great quality that is.
It certainly is. And, what I think you can see throughout her lifetime is that sense of duty and the fact that, when it came to her life, she put others and her people first, really.
Well, in her famous speech when she was 21 and she declared that whether she live a long life or a short life, she was going to be committed to the people and to the monarchy. And she understood what the monarchy was. She understood what the point of her job was. And she made that public declaration. And she really did stick to it, didn't she? No matter what was going on, she showed up as the strong and faithful servant to her people and to God.
Yeah. And I love that idea of servant leadership because being a king or a queen, it would be easy not to do that, right?
Oh,
but
gosh.
for Queen Elizabeth, I think Jesus was her model when it came to this, this idea of serving others, of loving others, putting them before yourselves.
She had this wonderful quote, and I'll read it. I have been and remain very grateful to you for your prayers and to God for his steadfast love. I mean, it's quite a long quote that I've actually pulled out about from her, and she speaks a lot of the teachings of Christ and how she used those teachings as her own personal accountability in her service to mankind. So, very special way to live.
A very special way to live. And I think something that, maybe not everyone can put their finger on, but she had that quality. She is known for her kindness, for her resilience, for all of those things. And maybe people aren't aware of where that strength might be coming from, but I suspect that strength and resilience and ability to be so devoted came from her faith in God because it seemed to shine through.
Yes, especially with her family as well. And I just, thinking about how she was able to do what she did only 2 years ago to say goodbye to the outgoing Prime Minister and welcome in the new Prime Minister 48 hours ago. She worked right to the end, such a hard worker, that devotion. And where else would you get that sort of strength and resilience from? It must come from within. It must come from your faith.
Yeah.
And she was such an example to us all that when we dig deep, we can do anything.
Yeah. Yes, certainly. Leaning on God in the midst of all of that as well. Now, on Facebook today, we've got a post up asking, people what they admired about the Queen. And one of the things that came up repeatedly was her ability to forgive. Why do you think that's such a big thing for people when it comes to talking about the Queen?
Well, it's interesting. I saw that as well, and I think it's because she would never really polarize in her duty. She would never speak against. She welcomed her children into her arms, even though sometimes they made not so good decisions.
Yeah.
She still showed the world, this is still my son, this is still my daughter, I still love them, no matter what. And that was one of the things I see. And what a wonderful example of being able to love no matter what, forgive them for they know not what they do. That's where it has to start, right? So I think that could be one of the reasons. But it's definitely the first thing that I think of when I think of her.
I mean, I think that's an incredible thing to be remembered for, your ability to forgive. Because, let's face it, it can be one of the hardest things to do, especially in the high profile that she had as well. Now, not only is she known for all of these wonderful things, devotion to duty, dedication to service, forgiveness, she's a hard worker, but she had a bit of a sense of humour. How do you reckon that came out, that naughty sense of humour?
I've heard she had quite a wicked sense of humour, actually. And, just when she did those Jubilee things with 007, remember when she was walking through Buckingham Palace, the little Paddington Bear thing. And I've just been listening to a few commentators today share their funny stories and the things she would come out. And really, she was wickedly funny. So you can find some of those things on YouTube if you wanted to have a look. But I had a real giggle today at some of the actual examples where she was just naughty and funny and playful. So isn't that amazing to have as a quality as a leader as well?
Yeah. I want to add one more thing to our list, Tanya, and I think, something that I've probably really just learned about today was the Queen's sense of curiosity. She actually was very curious about people. So rather than her answering all the questions, when she came to meet people, it would be her asking about them. And I suspect that is a sense of curiosity and wonder about other people's lives. And I reckon that's a wonderful quality to have.
Oh, it is, actually. We all want to be heard, don't we?
So we do.
Be heard by Her Majesty the Queen. What an honour that would have been.
Yeah, certainly. Hey, Tanya, I think, when it comes to role models, Queen Elizabeth II has to be right up there, probably for both of us, right?
Absolutely, for me, 100%.
Thanks so much for being a part of today's show and sharing your insights into her life, but I also think sharing some inspiration too. Thanks again.
My pleasure.